Hey guys, welcome to the Nashi Studio. So today we're going to be going through a very gentle morning routine. Now, as the name implies, this is something you can do first thing when you wake up, just to get the body moving, get a bit of blood flow into the musculature, into the connective tissue, and just see how things feel for that day. So this will be follow along in your own time, and if you see something that you like or that you resonate with or something that feels really good, please by all means stay there a little bit longer. Do a few extra reps, spend an extra minute there, yeah? This is just kind of your baseline guide, if you will. You can always expand and add if you need. So let's get straight into it. We're going to start with the wrists, because we'll be spending some time on our hands. So with the knees underneath the hips, the hands underneath the shoulders, I want you to spread those fingers wide. Make a really nice big stable base of support. We're just going to start by gently going forward and back. And now with anything that we do today, I want you to keep a level of softness, curiosity, and exploration. It's more just finding out, okay, how's it all feeling? Is it feeling good? Is it feeling a little bit tight? Can we make it feel better? Right? Rather than forcing anything, yeah? So with that in mind, let's now go to the side, forward, side, and back, and start drawing these little semicircles. So very rarely do people spend any amount of time focusing on their wrists or giving them any love. So this is a really simple, easy way to do it. So just going forward, side, back, forward to the other side and back. Let's let that go and let's turn the palms to face back. The fingers are still spread, hands relatively close together. And from here, initially, keeping the elbows locked out, I want to go backwards and forwards. It's very gentle. This can be a little bit more of an exposing position, so be mindful. Now sitting the butt back all the way onto the heels. If you can, I want you to try to bend the elbows now, letting the heel of the palm peel up off the floor. Fingertips are still on the floor. And your breath is soft, and you're feeling a big stretch. Now there should be no sharp shooting pain, so if there is, please back it off. Stretching or an intense stretch is okay. And gently let that go, shake it off. From here, we'll go straight into some cat-cows. Start working on the spine a little bit. So, hands underneath the shoulders again, knees underneath the hips. And rather than doing just your basic cat-cow extension and flexion, everyone knows this, we can level this up a little bit and also amplify it. So what I'm going to do is move vertebrae by vertebrae. Give this one a go. So I'm going to tuck the chin. Then I'm going to start to round my upper back, through my shoulder blades, working my way down my mid-back, slowly flexing the lumbar as well, finally finishing with the pelvis. Then I'm going to keep everything where it is and start at the top. I'm going to start by looking up. Then I'm going to gently encourage that extension down through past the shoulder blades into that middle back, coming slowly into the lower back, and finally finishing with the pelvis. And in this way, we're getting a lot more articulation. And the idea is to try and control each and every vertebrae. The softer you go with this, the better it tends to go. And as you start to become more familiar with the movement and the articulations, you can practice these waves. But speed is not key here. In fact, the slower you go, the better. We're just gently waking up the back, as well as the shoulder blades as well, and the hips a little. Awesome. From this position here, what we're going to do is I'd like you to place your right hand in the same line as your left knee. Then your left hand simply placed out to the side. And then we're going to continue our cat-cows. You can do the same with the waves, working your way up and down. So now we have a little bit of side flexion going through our spine, not just flexion and extension. We have that lateral flexion as well. Intention is the same, slow, gentle moves, vertebrae by vertebrae. Let's do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to get my left hand, place it in front of the right knee now. The right hand goes out to the side, and same thing. Gently moving through flexion and extension, whether that's straight up or with these waves. Should be feeling nice. The breath is throughout, so at no point are you holding your breath. I don't want you to rush. It's nice and soft. All right, last piece for our spine, we'll be going through some rotations. So in this same position, hands underneath the knee, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, we're going to take one hand and we're going to thread it through the opposite hand and knee. Now, as I do that, I don't want to twist from the lower back at all, so I'm actually going to contract my abdominals a little bit and gently think about dropping this shoulder towards the floor. And as I get to the bottom of the range, I can use the two hands on the floor to press into the floor to get a little bit more rotation. Gently coming out, we'll do the other side. And we're just going to go side to side. Remember, ab squeeze a little bit, with the focus being on that upper back rotating. Pressing the hands gently into the floor if you want a little bit more, and coming back out. You might feel this one in between the shoulder blades. You might be getting a little low back. As long as there's no pain, that's okay. Like I said, the more you focus on your brace, the more of that rotation comes from the upper back and your breathing. Gently trying to encourage the shoulders to stack on top of one another as you go through each rep, as the body yields a little bit. One more each side. And let that go. We'll move straight into the shoulders from here and just kind of wake up that overhead position a little bit. So again, starting with this knee under hip or hip over knee position, I want you to maintain this by keeping a posterior pelvic tilt. Then from there, we're going to walk the hands out in front of us as far as we can. Keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching. Let the shoulders shrug up near the ears. We're then going to tuck the hips and gently drop down. Breathing, keeping the arms locked. Now here I'm not forcing anything, I'm just gently letting myself come down to the floor. Notice the fingertips are strong, we're still staying elevated so the palms are not on the floor and the hips are still tucked. From here you're going to gently let those hips untuck and notice you'll fall closer to the floor. Still looking through the hands, thinking about squeezing the shoulder blades together. Just very gently though. Letting gravity do most of the work. Arms are staying locked. Breathing. Palms flatten to the floor, let that go. All right, from here guys, we're going to get straight into the hips. So I'd like to have one leg forward in front of us. Now I want to make sure that this foot is directly in front of the knee, so in front of the knee, not behind like this, otherwise we're going to run out of room. In front of the knee. Then posture is going to be upright. I'm going to tuck my pelvis underneath. And by doing that, you might already feel a stretch through this back hip here, which is the goal. We're trying to open up this hip flexor a little bit. Now, to make sure that I continue to tuck and that my butt is actually squeezed, I'm going to place my hands just at the top of my hips here, because then I can feel what's happening. From there, all we're going to do is just gently push our hips forward, keeping the butt squeezed. Now, if you feel your butt relax or you find yourself tilting forward, you've gone too far. So let's reset this and just make sure we have it right. Tuck the hips, posterior pelvic tilt, the butt should be squeezed, and now we're gently coming forward without losing those 2 points. Should have a nice stretch in your hip flexor in the back leg. From here, let's get into the neck a little bit while we're waiting. So we're going to start to look up gently and down. Just moving through, nothing too crazy. Breathing throughout. And if you find that you lose balance, you can let the head go and just focus on the hips. From here, we'll go side to side, looking over our shoulder and the opposite shoulder. Just shoulder to shoulder. Your butt is still squeezed. We're still pushing the hips forward. And letting that go. Let's marry the knees and swap sides. Other leg comes in front. We're going to tuck the hips and posture up once again, making sure the front foot is in front of the front knee, hands on the hips so we can feel what's going on, and gently push the hips forward. Again, we'll get into the head. Let's just start with the basic up and down. Very soft, slow, gentle. From there, we'll tilt the head and try and take our ear to the shoulder and then the ear to the opposite shoulder. Just tilting from side to side. Breathing, pushing the hips forward, and gently letting that go. Now from here, we're going to keep this position, and all we're going to do is straighten the front leg and the toe comes up. We're going to then think about sticking our butt out or going into anterior pelvic tilt as we try and come down to the floor. And hopefully we're going to notice a really nice stretch through the back of our leg, which might travel down into behind the knee or potentially even the calf. You might also need some kind of blocks, books to kind of get your hands onto the floor if this is not possible. Otherwise, we're just trying to melt and sink here. And breathe. What I'd like you to think about as well is using this quad to contract, to help not only pull you lower, but to make the stretch more intense as we keep that knee completely locked out. Breathing. Let's gently come out of that and do the same thing on the other side. So marry the knees together, other leg comes out. So we can start in this tall kneel with the leg bent. Then all we have to do is just straighten the leg, pull the toe up, and from here we anterior pelvic tilt, stick the butt out, gently letting yourself come down. Hands can find the floor hopefully. If not, you've got the blocks available. And again, just breathing, softening and sinking a little bit deeper. Think about squeezing this quad so you get more length through the back of your leg. Allowing yourself to melt a little bit lower as the body yields. And gently letting that go. Guys, and that is it. That is your morning routine. So very, very simple. Like I said, if there's anything that you really resonated with, feel free to revisit it, spend a little bit more time there, or feel free to add things in. Otherwise, if you have any questions, comments, drop them below, but I will see you next time. Cheers.